Welcome to Embrace the Spiritual Podcast. Join friends Michelle and Dawn as they share tips on how you too can open your heart, raise your vibration, and reclaim your sovereignty. Hear what they have experienced and overcome in their spiritual journeys while navigating this expansive spiritual multiverse. Discover how they transform their soul lessons from ordinary into extraordinary.
Follow, subscribe, and share Embrace the Spiritual Podcast on all streaming services, including YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and visit embracethespiritual.com for bonus content. To book a quantum energy healing session with Dawn, visit her website at alchemy-sacredsound.com. To book an SRT session or Reiki and Tuning Fork classes, visit Michelle on her website at energeticembrace.com.
Welcome to our final episode in December, our season 5 closing show. We are talking about spiritual completion, completing cycles, and then preparing for the new year. So we're not going to get into really what the new year means because we'll wait till January episode and we'll talk about what next year means for you. But we wanted to extend on our last episode where we were talking about karmic cleansing because that's such a huge piece of completing cycles. So when we're talking about spiritual completion, here's what I understand it to be. It's really about those endings so that you can create space for new beginnings. And you've probably heard of life, death, rebirth cycles. And it's not just about something being final, but you're transitioning and growing spiritually. So we need to clear out that old karma. As we talked about with the new earth energies, we need to clear this karma because in the new earth, there is no karma. So we're wrapping up so many things. Time to take advantage of this last month in 2024 and take advantage of how quickly things can happen for us. And I think we forget about that. We're so programmed to think that things have to happen in a certain length of time. And that's not the case. Things can happen fast if you want it to happen fast. Some cycles may have stages. So I think sometimes you don't always have to look like, oh, this is the end that I have to get to and I'm not there. And then you're putting all this pressure on yourself. Well, there's still stages in the cycle that have their own completion process. Sometimes I heard that people talk about getting that closure. Well, closure, I'd say, is more a physical thing, right? If you're getting closure with somebody, but completion is more of that spiritual process where you're cleaning your energy, you're letting go of your past at your soul level, because that's really what we're doing is we're cleaning house at the soul level. And it's time to put on your big girl panties and release anybody or anything that no longer supports your soul path. Even if you don't know what your soul path is, does it make you feel good? If it doesn't make you feel good, then why are we doing it? Because somebody else thinks we're supposed to? Well, that's not a very good reason. I don't want to live my life like that. So have a look. Maybe you need to jot down things that you feel like could be completed, but maybe aren't. And then you can look at them and say, well, is this just a karmic pattern that needs to be closed off? Is this a life cycle? Like you hear about these 7-year cycles of things that happen in our lives. It's a real thing. Could be a soul contract, and release it energetically. If you need help with any of these steps, you can certainly reach out to Donna and I through our Embrace the Spiritual website. And sometimes we just need help to find what path we go down as far as clearing. So most times we intuitively know that gut feeling, but sometimes it helps if someone else can maybe validate it for you. You're already thinking that way. And sometimes people get stuck in clearing things out because, am I going to clear it out properly? Or like, is this the right tool to clear it out? Well, most times there's not really a right or a wrong tool. There's certainly tools that are more effective for certain types of work. But as long as you start somewhere, that's really the key. Just sitting and thinking about it or talking about it isn't going to get you anywhere. Take action. Tell the universe that, hey, I'm willing to put these things to completion, and the universe will help make that happen. So I think just awareness in the beginning. Yes, we need to be aware, but don't get stuck in just the searching function. Like, it's a time for doing. We need to get this stuff done. The new earth is happening, as we talked about. We're on the ride already. The roller coaster, so to speak, is already started. So there's no time to jump off. There's time just to figure out how you're going to navigate the windy road. I do have to say, I'm super excited that we are closing out 2024. It was a beautiful year for so many things energetically. And I'm so grateful for the dragon energy that carried us through to this point and is going to be, blowing us into the new year with her beautiful, fire. And it is just such an exciting time. And there are so many messages coming through. So much is happening. And it is really a compilation of let's get this done. I have had a couple of people reach out for energy work, and it is definitely about clearing stuff and completing these cycles of stuff that, when I started talking to the people that I was talking to, it was like, oh, this, bad. And there was judgment. But when I reached into the energy, it was like, this is all lessons being learned, because you haven't learned the lesson yet, obviously, if we're doing this again, but it's time for it to be, shut that door and have it be completed, which I love, because when you get to the end of the book, you get to close it and you don't have to start it again if you don't want to. But if you do want to read it again, enjoy, because it was such a good story. But, start realizing what things in your life are like a closed book and can be stopped and ended. There was a beautiful example for my daughter. She has not found her voice yet at work. She's not comfortable, which is okay. It happens. It's a new job. We all have doubts, especially when we step into new situations that we aren't comfortable. But she was going on a test drive with a second year, and instead of him being responsible in the car, he decided to do 50 and a 35. He was vaping and also talking on the phone with his girlfriend. And we had just gotten a snowstorm, so we had over 1.5 feet over the weekend. This happened on Tuesday for her. And it was we're supposed to be 33 degrees. We are in the teens with the wind chill. And I don't know how winter ready this car is, but you don't go 50 and a 35 because they were probably in a housing area. So both my husband and I, when she told us, we were like, what? Because we both felt that energy of, this is not right. It is time for you to speak up and be in your power and stand up for yourself. And we told her that. We said, you cannot let this happen again. I said to her, I would have asked him to stop, and I'm going to walk back to work, because I could feel her uncomfortableness from the situation, since I know her and she just does not feel like she has a voice. And he probably wouldn't have listened anyways. But if you don't try to speak up and say something, nobody's going to hear you. They can't read your mind. He definitely is not a mind reader. But you don't do that. You don't do that at a job where you are entrusted with somebody else's vehicle. You have a responsibility to your boss and the company you're working for. It is just irresponsible on so many levels. And then, looking at it spiritually, you have a big, they're showing me, you have this big, gift that you have been given, but you're not even respecting the gift that you've been given. The angels are always, there to protect you. But if you're not asking for help, which she should have been in that moment in time and space, and I'll have to talk about it with her later, because she did speak out, which I'm so proud of her that she did. But it is time to take notice. What things are happening that are nudging you to do something about? That was her nudge to find her voice. And once you start, it is easier to say, no, I'm not comfortable with that. And it is okay not being comfortable. We're going to be placed in situations. It's okay to say, I'm not okay with this, whether it be with your friends, your family, at work. There's a reason that you're not feeling comfortable. And that is a big reason, because she could have gotten into a big accident. And I am super glad that she did not. But if we don't speak up for ourselves, who is going to take over and do that for us? So let's find our voices. Let's close those books and go into this new year and drawing in that energy that we know is available to us. I see this chapter opening, easiest, way to say, you're starting a book, and it's going to be beautiful. And I've been talking about it with my team, and they're like, you have so much magic available to you. What are you going to do with it? You don't have to look that far into the future. And, you might not know what's going to be happening in your life, depending on what stage of life you are at. But even if you just hold that feeling of excitement and magic that can come to you, you'll be shown your path. And considering that she was just in an accident, this very likely was the universe doing a little bit of a test to see if, she's asking for help and all those things that you said. So that's key when we have things happen to us that are similar to something that's already happened. Take notice, because it's time to get off the hamster wheel. And I really wanted to share this kind of visual, I guess, that I read about with regards to completing karmic patterns or soul contracts or life cycles. And what it means to spiritually complete is that we're releasing it energetically. So as I said earlier, closure is more that physical act, but this is energetic that we're talking about. So if you have one of these patterns and cycles, that really patterns and cycles are circular, right? So it's going around and around. That's why I said hamster wheel, because everyone can visualize what that looks like. And what if you took that hamster wheel or that pattern and cycle and flattened it out like a path? So instead of it going around and around, lay it out in front of you. And to me, this sends a bigger message to the universe and to yourself that I'm ready to get off the hamster wheel, and I'm going to lay this out in front of me, and I'm going to tackle this path. I'm going to do what it takes to get to the end of this path. And then once you can get to the end of that cycle, understand it, have gratitude for lessons, all those things we talked about in the last episode about clearing karma. If you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to it, because it's so key. And when you can cut those energetic ties that you have to either a pattern or person, or sometimes a person is involved in the pattern, then the universe goes, okay, we're energetically completing this life cycle or maybe a soul contract. This is so key, because when you can have that sense of completion, guess what? The doors for new beginnings open. Because if we have all of this stuff that we're still processing, the universe isn't going to give us something new when we haven't learned the lessons of what we're currently dealing with. And it's not always an either or, but I would say that if you can complete some of these cycles and go, okay, I'm done. And having a voice, our throat chakras are a huge one for so many people. It tends to be more female, but it's not exclusive to females, because there's a lot of males that don't say what they really think, and maybe they take out their feelings in aggressive physical ways. So they still might have a closed throat chakra and have all these reasons why they're maybe acting out physically instead of actually talking about their emotions. So it is so key to identify, maybe as part of whatever pattern you're in, is it associated with the chakra? Because if it's associated with the chakra, you likely have physical issues going in your body in that area, right? So if you have something in your solar plexus, you might have something in your digestion, your stomach area. If you have something sexual related, maybe there's a lot of sexual trauma, either past life or current life, your root chakra is likely closed down and not operating at capacity. So it's time to make those connections. Your body and your spirit are not separate. They can complement each other, but they also are a tool to really help you identify what's going on. I always like looking up the spiritual meanings of these things. If something is going on in a particular region in the body, why not look? Like, we're always so quick, Dawn and I were talking about this, that as a society, we're so quick to take, medication or something. And yes, sometimes that is the solution. I was telling Dawn a story about how different medications can be energetically given to a person, because sometimes that's all the body needs. But you can muscle test. Can I just take this energetically, or do I need to actually take a supplement for it? Sometimes you need to have the supplement, maybe to get your levels up to a certain point, and then it can be an energetic adjustment. So everyone's going to be different, but take action in figuring out what is best. Don't just go to the default because somebody else says it works for them. Does not mean it's going to work for you. Our bodies are all different. We're at different stages in our spiritual growth, in our soul contracts, in our karmic lessons, that the answer for one person isn't going to be the answer for somebody else. It may help give you ideas. So certainly, not that you want to close off and not talk to anybody, but take nuggets from every person. So, if you're hearing something that Dawn's sharing and that really resonates with you, Well, it's resonating with you for a reason. So explore that. I want to add to this because sometimes when I was talking about closure and being that physical process, one of the things that you can do in that aspect, because closure, you're honoring the ending of something. Maybe it's a closing of a relationship, or maybe work, a job that you really love that's coming to an end, whatever the case might be. It gives you that opportunity to tie up or sever loose ends, and it provides that peace of mind. Even if you have questions unanswered, it still is the end of an experience and acknowledges that change has taken place. That's huge because change is very hard for people, and they feel like if I need to change, then something's wrong with me. Well, no, because we've talked about this in the past, that even what Dawn and I talked about a year and a half ago at the beginning of our podcast, what we know and understand about things has evolved and grown. And it doesn't mean what we talked about in the beginning was wrong. It was right in that moment in time. And we're adding new information or expanded information. So change is a beautiful thing. I think everybody should embrace change, from the physical process of closure, clutter clearing. We've talked about that in the past. Put an intention with your clutter clearing. Put an emotional intention. So when I clear this area, I put the intention that I'm clearing up this aspect in my life. Because a lot of things, especially in bedrooms, maybe it's something with your intimate life that you're making. Maybe you're looking for a partner. So if your room's been maybe a certain way since you had a previous partner, change it up. Maybe you can change the bed orientation, change up your side tables, move things around, create that new energy for bringing new things in. Gift or donate or sell possessions or things that you're not using. Someone else can always use them. There's always somebody that's looking for something that you have, right? That saying, one person's trash is another person's treasure. Well, it doesn't even have to be trash. But by getting rid of these emotionally charged things, you're making way for the new. I mean, if my husband, bless his heart, was cleaning out our garage, I had textbooks from, I almost don't want to say how many decades ago when I was in school. But for what reason? So everything you can get online, or there was no reason to have that, but it's taking up space. And if you look at from a feng shui clutter clearing perspective, if things are in your basement, that's your foundation. If you need to clean up your foundation. So if you can gift these things and create an emotional and physical opportunity for new things, you're going to see a whole new 2025.
I love so much that you were saying, and I have to laugh because I love working for old people, but they don't change at all. And I think to myself when I'm working at these jobs, because I've been doing this for 10 years, one of the things that they can't handle is change. So it is so hard for them to grasp that minute by minute, it's just technically we are changing. And just what they like to eat, what they don't like to eat, keep being taken someplace. I don't want to go. I mean, I'm the same way. I should not. So I think it's funny. I like my routines, but it's because I'm going through a huge energetic clearing out. We're talking about clearing out. I had a beautiful Reiki session with somebody in Canada, which I was like, Canada, I love Canada. And he was like, you have heavy metals that are affecting your neck chakra. And I'm like, and it's why you have insomnia. I'm like, oh, this makes so much sense. So I was like, all right, team, let's do this. Because he finally, I don't feel tired when it comes to nighttime. It hits 9 o'clock and I know I should be like, oh yeah, I'm tired. But my body's like, let's go party. And I'm like, I really don't want to. Can we go to sleep? How about that? I hear the songs it's like a techno dance party in my head sometimes. And which, is not good for your body because it does, not sleeping causes lots of issues. And so he finally, I felt tired that night. I did not sleep, but I did feel this feeling of being tired, which is oh, this is how it feels to be tired. This is an awesome feeling. And then that led me to Rife Technologies. So I have been listening to a YouTube channel and it's been working. I have been sleeping 6 out of 7 days out of the week. I've been using it, probably for a week and a half, which is awesome for me. I do have to have specific ones that I listen to be able to sleep because I forgot one the other night. And I was just I don't know why I'm not sleeping. And I didn't, I make sure I don't have caffeine. I know all my triggers, So it was just not meant to be that night. And it's okay because I slept really great. And sleeping for me really great is sleeping till about 4 or 5 and getting up to go to the bathroom. So I am happy when I can make it that far. So that's how I base how good I am sleeping at night. We are stepping into an age where our teams are going to be stepping up and telling us, this is where you need to do. They're going to say, you're going to hear them talking because that's what I do. Like I'll be thinking about something and they're like, yeah, contact your friend, do this. I'm like, all right. So I'm grateful for my friend that suggested this healer and that then led me to this. I'm on a heavy metal detox and a parasite cleanse because of it, frequency wise, because that's what's resonating with my body right now, and it might change. So I'm just fine tuning whatever comes along because that's all we can do. I don't resonate with pills and stuff. Like I do take vitamins, but I Reiki them and make sure they are the highest value and for my body, because I just have never, ever, I find that I always would get more sick when I was on antibiotic and stuff like that as a kid. And luckily we were poor, so we never went to the doctor unless it was really an emergency. It just never resonated with me. So I'm thankful for that part of my life and making me realize there are alternatives out there for things. And I'm hoping this new year that we can show you there are, other techniques and stuff out there. I was talking to my team and they're like, yeah, you can use this for your garden. Your plants are going to love this. I was like, yes, I love it. Because when our plants are happy, they give us more nutrition. They're able to access minerals and vitamins that we don't even think about because our soil has been so depleted. And I think about this often because I garden a lot. It does not have the nutrients that it had 50 years ago. The food we're getting is weeks old, if not months old. And sometimes I heard stuff like our apples are a year old. That is not going to have the nutritional value that an apple fresh off the tree is going to have for us. It's just things to think about. I'm hoping that we're ending the system of, because it's not really fast food that we're eating anymore. It's super slow getting to you food. And we are able to have opportunities to grow the freshest and most nutritious food available in the upcoming years, since I feel like we're opening this huge door that's going to let all this information be available to all of us. So I'm looking forward to that.
Maybe that's one of the completion cycles that you need to work on. That's one of the ones I'm working on, is shifting out of eating a certain way or eating certain foods that I know really don't resonate with me, make my stomach upset, but I still eat them. And it's as much habit as it is anything. So I look for new ways, as Dawn was saying, even looking for these ways to help with her insomnia. It's okay to look at multiple avenues because it's going to be a little bit of everything that's going to help you get through it. One of the things that I also want to share about kind of this closure and completion piece as we prepare for the new year is, sometimes we struggle with this closure because of those feelings of anger or resentment or maybe even grief with regards to our past. Getting to that place of just honoring the experience without judgment of others, without judgment of yourself, is a necessary step in stretching out that hamster wheel to be a longer path or whatever it looks like for you. Imagine yourself shedding these layers as you're walking down the path, because getting that closure allows you to emotionally unburden your heart of those feelings. And when we have those kinds of feelings in our body, in our day-to-day, they weigh down your spirit. Your spirit and your soul are an extension of that feeling. And when you can create that closure, you can say, yep, I've done what was needed. I understand my experience and I'm ready for whatever life brings me next. Say it out loud. Say it to your team. We're really big on talking to our team. Our team's always there. They're listening, not that they're eavesdropping on inappropriate moments, but they're always there for us. And they want to help. They can't interfere. We have free will, so we need to ask for help. And asking for help is so tough for so many people. We don't want to burden anybody, right? That's really the sense. And that's just as much programming and patterns and shedding that kind of feeling of obligation. No, they're there to help.
It may not look like what you want or how you think it's going to look, but it's going to happen in a way that's best for your highest good. If you're in a situation where maybe you physically can't find that closure with somebody or something, then create your own little ritual of release. If you need some ideas, search the internet for it. But, writing that goodbye letter, we've said that in the past, burning it if you want, releasing it. It's important to release the experience because that's how you move forward. And when we can get to that point of that completion and that kind of perspective on the soul level about what's happened and truly integrate the lessons, that's really what our goal is. But without that closure, then we still kind of have that physical connection to whatever's going on. And I know I've had that in the recent past that, I get it. I know what the lesson is, but there's still this emotional part of me that's just kind of pissed off. And it's tough to get through that, but I'm aware of it. I'm looking at ways that I can do that. So I'm likely going to be writing a letter to help me release that, but I'm also going to put the intention that as I write the words, I'm releasing it. So it doesn't have to be a release at the very end of the burning ceremony. It could be, but for me, I feel like if you can put the intention that you're releasing it as you're processing it or as you're writing something, then guess what? By the time you're done, it's pretty much complete. Here's where we have to be careful. And Dawn mentioned this earlier. We can release things, but you have to release the story too. If you continue with the story, you are resurrecting those emotions and keeping it alive. If you can tell the story without emotion, right, and not feeling emotionally attached, then, you've released it. But just be mindful. We love our stories because we think that's what defines us or maybe excuses some of our behaviors or why we do something or don't do something. But that's a crutch, right? That's really all it is. So don't be in that emotional limbo. Just allow your soul to grow. Do whatever completion and closure steps that you need to do. Clear your karma. Get those releases. And it's going to be a beautiful 2025 with the energies that are going to be shifting. I can't wait to talk about those in the new year.
Yeah, my team keeps saying things are going to start happening fast. So I know for myself, some of the things that are going to be happening, which I'm not going to mention at this time because they have not happened yet. And I don't want to be like, well, Dawn, because the timelines are still changing. There can be and will be roadblocks of things that I'm still, processing and clearing out. So, and that is okay. I honor them. I welcome them. And I would like to, complete those lessons in 2025. I'm looking forward to that. But it is about dialogue, how you talk about stuff. And, my family and I have started talking about things that we know that is possible that's going to happen for our future. So how are you approaching 2025? Are you clearing out? And the angels keep showing me, there's a whole bunch of them and they're at the doorway of a house and they're just like sweeping. So even if you energetically do the ritual of opening your door on the 31st of December and taking a broom and energetically clearing out, and that's all you want to do, they're like, that is a-okay as long as you do it with the intention of clearing out everything that is not serving you and things that you aren't on your path to 2025. So it is all about intentions. How are you going to end this year? Are you going to end it with anger and negativity, or are you going to end it with hope, joy, happiness, and the beautiful feeling of what is going to be coming in this upcoming year for yourself? I know what I'm choosing, and I am excited. So whatever kind of ritual, do you want to do a fire? They're like, there are so many options out there. You can look something up. You can make your own, but the point is, do it how you want to do it, because we are all individual people. It is time to start thinking about our actions, our intentions, and our clearing out. And they're saying, especially house things. And they're like, this is the year to start clearing it, like push that out. I am packing up. And unfortunately, with us just having a car accident, I'm not opening the rear of my trunk because it opened once and it closed once, but he's like, it is kind of like damaged. It may or may not stay that way. And I know that my car right now is not driving like it normally does. We have sensors going off. It randomly beeps. So we can't get it seen until January. So I'm like, okay, like we can do this. We can wait over 30 days until it gets seen. I look at it as a challenge. We only doing the countdown, like it's going to get fixed. I can't wait. And, and it is going to be, he said, it's like you're going to have a new car, because when it gets completed, they will also go through and make sure all the sensors are on board. And I have felt like the sensors have not been proper. And I was going to take it in, and my daughter's like, it's going to code out like nothing's going to be wrong. So I kind of feel like, this was like my team being, along with her lesson, but this is the reset that my car needed, because it had coded saying that there was something wrong the one time. And then it showed up on my husband's email, and he's like, oh, we need to take the car in. But then when he's like, I went to go look at it, he's like, it was disappeared. So there's something going on energetic with the car. So when it goes in, I'm going to make sure my angelic team is there working with them to make sure it's really good next year. So, it's all about intentions and how we want to approach things. We have spiritual teams that are willing to work with us, even on like silly, you might think that's silly, but to me, it's serious, because it's, getting me from point A to point B and the other people in my family. And I'm going to, give it my all at all times to make sure that it's working properly, because it's keeping me safe. My angels are there, and my team is there to make sure that I'm fulfilling what I'm here to do. I chose to be here. I chose to live this life with the people and that I'm involved with. And I want to continue, being the best that I can and helping as many people as I possibly can. So start thinking about, what are you going to do to end this year for that new year coming in?
My final thoughts on spiritual completion is, it is a journey, but we're in a fast-moving time, so it's going to require effort. It's going to require some messy self-reflection and observation of things around you. As Dawn said, could be things going on with your vehicle, but have a look at it and go, oh, is that maybe reflecting something in my own life that is needing to get fixed and release? So release, let go of those patterns, those habits, those energies that don't make you happy. Right? If they're not making you jump out of bed in the day, then take an honest look at it. I found this description online that says, spiritual completion reveals one's true nature and potential, allowing for the expression of one's highest self. Ultimately, as moving with these new earth energies, we are in a state of oneness with the divine, and the boundaries between human and spiritual dimensions are melting away.
Trust your gut. You are stepping into a new year and creating the magic of that year. Make it magnificent.
Follow, subscribe, and share Embrace the Spiritual podcast on all streaming services, including YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and visit embracethespiritual.com for bonus content. To book a quantum energy healing session with Dawn, visit her website at alchemy-sacredsound.com. To book an SRT session or Reiki and Tuning Fork classes, visit Michelle on her website at energeticembrace.com.
Infinite love and gratitude. Thank you for joining us.